Beautiful Music presents Going Mental, a podcast discussing mental health from a personal to global scale. I'm your host, Eric Leibowitz, founder of Beautiful Music. Let's go mental. On today's episode, we have music therapist, yogi, and spiritual being, Catalina Piedrahita. How are you, Catalina?
Hi, Eric. I'm doing well. It's really nice to be here with you.
It's so
Always.
nice to see you. And so where are you right now?
Right now I'm in Colombia. I've been spending the past 6 months since quarantine started, most of the time in the mountains, but right now I'm in the city today actually.
Oh, in
Yeah.
the city. So how is it in Colombia? And I want to hear so much more about what it's like living in the mountains.
I think it saved my life, my quarantine life. And after 6 months, I'm actually preparing or getting ready a 1 day retreat for people to come up to the mountain, and we're going to share music and therapy and yoga, and I'm planning this because I was thinking about it, and it was really what made these 6 months so much more bearable, right? And I didn't see people for a couple months, then only my family, and slowly I've been seeing one or two people, but it's been online, everything mostly. So I'm excited to bring some people and share the magic that nature has to offer with them too.
Oh, so in your practice as a music therapist, you like to involve nature into all of the work that you're doing with other people and groups?
Yes, I think it's one of the most important elements. I've seen it in myself. Sometimes you think of people in nature, um, and you may think, oh, they just want to go off by themselves. But it does have a collective power too. So bringing
Yeah.
a group of people into nature, it can teach you a lot of things about yourself. If you have time and patience, you can do practices outside. For example, yoga is a practice that, according to the scriptures, it should be done in a closed room, four walls, no distractions, nothing at all. But I have my master, he says, even yoga needs an update sometimes. So I think yoga in nature, or music in nature, or music therapy in nature is a great thing. And I actually know a couple of therapists here in the city, not music therapists, but um, just verbal psychotherapists that are into arts and other creative art
Hmm.
modalities. And they sometimes hold consultations in the park. So
Oh,
they
that's so
have some
cool.
clients that they see in the park, and then there's this other thing called forest bathing that I
Hmm.
don't know a lot about, but they have meditation practices and mindfulness practices in nature, and that's something that I would also like to do with my clients. And now it's starting to move again. People are going places, so I think it's a great moment to do this.
Oh, wow. That sounds great. I would love to have my therapy in a park. I didn't think about that.
Right?
And I think that's so important now to even for people to hear that that's a possibility for people to get mental health resources outside of the quarantine. And you said you're doing a little bit of remote therapy too. How's that been going?
Virtual, you mean?
Yes.
It's been going well. I find it hard to. I was very resistant to it at the beginning. So I tried it for myself, and at the beginning I was like, no, there's no way that this can work. But this was even before quarantine. And then
Mm,
when quarantine started and everything became virtual, then I decided to give it a go in in everything I do, both in yoga and in music therapy. And I'm part of a team where we do coaching,
hmm.
and it's a short term project with people, and it's three of us, and we each focus on different things. So we've been also offering these services online, and I think once you have it um, outlined and you know what you're going to offer, then the person can see if that's something that they want. You offer one consultation. If they like it, they come back. But really, I think the tools that I have allow me to do a lot more things than just talk across the screen. So
Yeah.
sometimes people get to do their own stuff and then they come back, we process together. So it's not
Mm.
just the computer. It's also going into yourself and doing something. So that's been good.
Mm.
I do wish to explore it more because I think I haven't had a lot of experience of
Hmm.
doing it online. So there's probably other resources that I don't know about, and I want to incorporate as many things as I can.
That sounds so great. And the ideas that you have of kind of combining nature, yoga, movement, music therapy, they seem to work so well together. And so I'm wondering, how do those different elements affect your music therapy practice? And maybe if you want to go into how music therapy affects your yoga and experience in nature, how are the three working together? And am I missing anything? I know we talked briefly, you're starting um, a kind of brand of private practice in music therapy. If you want to talk about that too and how they kind of all work together.
Yes. So the name is Wabi Sabi. The name is Wabi Sabi Wellness. And Wabi Sabi is a word that has been part of my life for about like 10 years now. And every time I read something about it, I discover something new also because it's a Japanese philosophy. So it's got, from the moment that they created it up until now, it has meant a lot of different things, right? And some people use it in aesthetics, some people use it in philosophy, but it basically centers around the idea of finding and appreciating the beauty of everything that is imperfect and impermanent. So everything,
Wow.
pretty
Yeah.
much everything that we know, right? So how can we find beauty in that?
Hmm.
And the ways that I am going to apply it is through music therapy, through yoga, and through nature. Those three. I think those three have in common a lot of things. One time I drew a little chart. I have to go find it about the parallels. But one of them is the listening aspect, right?
Mm.
There are three disciplines where you really, really have to listen to yourself and also to the outside world. And then by
Wow.
listening closely to the outside world, you learn things about yourself. And if you practice one, you practice the other. So it's always I don't want to say tug of war because it's not a war, but it's a moving between the external world and the internal world. So in yoga, they teach you a lot how to bring your senses inward.
Mm.
Okay. So therapy, you come with your emotions and you
Mm.
come with your thoughts and you try to let it all out,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
In yoga, you recognize them, but you don't let them take control. In therapy, I feel like sometimes you let them take control in order
Interesting.
to
Yeah.
get to a breakthrough or to this other part where you accept it and can move forward. In yoga, they teach you how to master these things.
Oh, wow.
But without, it may sound as like, oh no, then you have to ignore them or not pay any attention to them.
Hmm.
But it's not the case. It's trying to show you how to see them and perceive them, but not let them consume you
Mm.
as it may do in therapy sometimes. And that's where we have these meltdowns, which are also good and necessary
Right.
sometimes.
Hmm.
And then you have a therapist there. That's
Yes.
the role of the therapist, to be there for you and to help you along the way and to help pick you up when you're feeling that.
Mm.
Yoga is very much into solitude. So sometimes you have to face all these things on your own. I don't know if that's
Mm.
one of the reasons why you learn how to master these things, because at
Yeah.
the end of the day you are by yourself, so you better learn how to do it, and it will give you tools to then be out in the world and not get destroyed.
I I really resonate with that, and I think it's such a beautiful philosophy, and especially with the name Wabi Sabi, because it seems like in all these disciplines, is the element of imperfection and impermanence. And to me, that kind of leads me to this idea of acceptance, maybe first or eventually, because the ideas in therapy, our imperfections kind of come out. And in yoga, imperfections are coming out, and yet we are there with them, with all of our other thoughts and all of our wants to be perfect and to be permanent. We have all these things, but here we are, and we're facing it like, hey, what's up? I'm your imperfections. You ready to deal with me? And I think that's such a challenge, but also, so important to experience. And so I wonder if that I, idea comes up for you in thinking about acceptance and um, in therapy and
Mhm.
in wabi sabi, like it is acceptance of these imperfections. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. And that's the
Mhm.
thing that I try to tell myself and also to share with the people that I work with, because, motivation is very fleeting. It's very fluctuating. It's just
Mhm.
not going to stay.
Yes.
And you go to therapy when you're feeling really bad, right?
Mhm.
But you go to therapy if you're having a good day. You have your therapy scheduled. You also go, and there's a possibility of processing things. Then on
Mhm.
your yoga mat, you get on there every single day, or if you practice 4 times a week or one, whatever, but you go there. And
Mm.
you don't go there because, oh, I have the energy today to do my class and this is what's going to be. No, a lot of people think that way.
Interesting.
And it's very hard to change that mindset once you recognize it. And maybe I studied music therapy, so I recognize it from that standpoint too, that I go
Right.
whether I feel it or not. In the yoga mat, it's the same thing. I go there if I'm feeling great. I go there if I'm feeling terrible. It's still going to show me and give me information about myself. And I'm going to do it because it has to be done. That's how my teacher says. Just do it because it has to be done. So definitely, it teaches you to accept things. It teaches you, and it can be things from really basic things like food, right? Our
Mm.
food, we sometimes overlook food, but food is so important, what we put in our bodies to how it makes us feel. It's like our second brain right here in our stomach.
Mm. Yes.
And it really shows you the yoga practice how you've been eating, right?
Oh.
Because it can make you feel really terrible. For example, twists. All twists help and aid digestion. So
Interesting.
you do
Oh.
your twist, and when you're feeling light, you didn't have a lot of food, you feel energetic and vital, and you do the twist, and it's good. When you had heavy food, when not particularly your best day or your best feeling around it, you do those twists, and they are like an answer. They tell you, hey, watch it. And you can do it one time, but if you eat bad every day, then it's going to start being a pain. Your practice is just
Mm.
going to be something that you're not going to look forward to. So even habits like eating, things that we do every day, can affect tremendously mm, these other things and can show us information about ourselves. So I think in therapy sometimes we hide. And I remember
Mm.
from this book, I don't remember what book it was, but it was comparing a little paragraph about verbal and music therapy,
Mhm.
and saying how some people hide behind the words and they're resistant to doing music, and then some people hide behind the music and just play forever, but they're not going to tell you that word that they want to say.
Interesting. Yes.
Not
Yes.
that you want to hear, but what they're really, what is going behind that. So the body, coming
Mhm.
back to the body, there is very little way of hiding in the body. It just
Mm.
shows you, it gives you information all the time. And if you pay attention and you sit there, even if you do half the class, staying in a class and doing half the class is harder than doing it all, right? To just be able to sit there and perceive, I can't do this right now. This is going on, but staying there.
Yeah.
So I think the body, that's another element. When I incorporate nature, I
Mhm.
also incorporate movement and
Mhm.
movement in nature. The body doesn't hide. It just
Wow.
there.
I love that. The body doesn't hide. That's a great quote. Great title for a book too, I would think. And
Right? And you can shut your mind. You can
mhm.
shut your mind, but it's still gonna be there. Yeah.
And in some of my research, and I think it's becoming more prevalent now than ever, is the connection between the gut
Mm.
bacteria and like the neural connections between your the gut and your brain, and the idea of the old saying of we are what we eat. I never took that to be literal, but it is a literal meaning. It's like what you put into your body is what you become. And so when you're putting that into your stomach, like just thinking about what you were talking about with twists and digestions and how what you eat kind of manifests on the yoga mat when you're using your body is just reinforces that idea of we really are what we eat and how important that is. And then going back to the concept of not being able to hide, it's like, well, if you are feeling a certain way based on what you're eating, you kind of have to accept that maybe that's not the the right
Not
the,
sustainable,
yeah,
right?
not
Yeah.
sustainable. um
And it's not about going like hardcore freak about it, because we're here, we have our senses, we want to experience pleasure. And
yeah.
I really love what is termed as healthy food, or I love greens and I love fresh fruits and veggies. But some people really, they don't like it. They don't like the flavor, they don't
Yeah.
like the taste, and it's not about torturing yourself. That's the other principle that I really like about yoga, and that I use it and apply it in music therapy too. The first principle is called ahimsa, and it's nonviolence. And
Mm.
that nonviolence is to be applied obviously to other people, but first to yourself,
First to
right?
yourself.
So
So
first to
challenging.
yourself. So try
Yes.
not to be violent with yourself. If you're trying not to eat this thing, and then all you're thinking about is this thing, this thing, this thing, then you're torturing yourself. Then just eat that damn thing, and then tomorrow we start again,
Yes.
right?
And balance it out with some with the other things. You
Yeah.
can enjoy that um because you did something that you don't enjoy. Maybe. I don't
Exactly.
know, that
And
that
with
balance.
there's many other examples. I'm not thinking about anything right now, but that are not related to food, but basically how we live our lives. And I think that also comes around to acceptance again. Okay, I'm needing this now, but it doesn't mean that I'm here forever. And this decision is this decision, and then there's another one coming right up. So trying to not stay there
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
So speaking of that feeling of stuck and hearing you talk about how no matter what, you go to your yoga mat every day, just like whether or not you're feeling good or bad, one should go to their therapists when it's scheduled. I wonder for you, what is your, action of agency? What do you have like a mantra? What keeps you going to your mat? How do you keep that sustainable and consistent?
Hmm. How do I keep it sustainable? Well, I think I already developed a habit,
Mhm.
the good habit of doing it. It's already ingrained
Mhm.
in me. Another thing that keeps me going is that I want to share this with people. And the only way that I feel is fair to share it with others is if I do the work myself. Right? So how am I gonna be so intense about it? Because I'm a little intense about it. You come on, you have to practice. How am I gonna say these things and be these things when it's not coming from so it's almost kind of effortless. Not what happens in there, but the
Mm.
deciding to go and sit down and do
Mm.
something. Sometimes it's breathing, sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's twisting in every direction you can imagine. It varies.
Mm.
But that part of just going there and wanting to understand a little more or perceive a little more, or yeah, that's something that comes almost effortless. And then the other mantra or the other reason I have behind it is offering it.
Mm.
So, like transpersonal psychology, I think mixes a lot with yoga philosophy
Hmm.
and seeing yourself as part of something much larger and something almost unexplainable. And when I offer my practice to this bigger thing, it becomes so much more powerful. So if I do it just for myself or for the part of myself that's feeling terrible, then
Mm.
it's not gonna have that much power. But when I know and I feel it and I know it, right? I feel these things deep inside. I cannot explain it, but I can feel it. When I do the practice in that way, it connects me to to a bigger power, larger than my fleeting emotions and thought patterns. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And to me, it kind of represents this duality that, I mean, obviously the duality is oneness in my opinion, but to see it in duality is helpful to me, where you have what is keeping you going to the mat is going to the mat, right? So like it kind of it self-perpetuates itself. And in the same
Yeah.
way, it's like the the thoughts and challenges that we face there are also have that ability to be self-perpetuating. So when we're on the mat and we have or we're in therapy and we have these reciprocal ways of thinking, it's it's like, why am I thinking that way? Because I'm thinking that way. When maybe I should just go to therapy to work on it, or maybe I should, you know, it's not that it's that easy and it takes time and practice to develop the habit, as you said, because now that it's a habit, it's effortless. But
Hmm.
doing it is the key. It's always the key that the hardest thing is often the simplest thing. It's just that consistency over time. And I think you do a good job in being a model, and I respect that you want to model your beliefs in yourself for those who are learning from you. And I think as a music therapist and yoga practitioner and teacher, that's really important and definitely will be sitting with me. Again, I just think that you are a great model to developing these very healthy habits. And I know that you're working on developing Wabi Sabi and you have a Instagram page. So can you just, if people wanted to find you, connect with you, how would they do that?
Yes. So definitely I'm here to help. I would love to be in contact with more people from these three disciplines. So from the point of yoga, from music therapy, and from nature and movement, I am offering services that are both one-on-one and also group work is available in Spanish and in English. Right
Great.
now in English, it's mostly virtual because I'm in Colombia, but you can also come to our retreats in Colombia when we have them. So I really invite you to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram page is Catalina Wabi Sabi. And here you will find the work that I do on my own. And I'll be glad to tell you more about it and have conversations. And then the other part that I do as a part of a team of coaches is called Stamina in Action. And we have personal and professional coaching, we have nutrition and holistic health, and we have all the recharging mechanisms. That's what I'm in charge of. So,
Oh, great.
yoga, music, relaxation, breathing techniques. So, you're welcome to also join us at Stamina in Action. And you can go on the webpage, staminainaction.com, or Instagram. Yes.
Wonderful.
And I would love to connect with you.
That's so great. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and share your story and what you're working on. And I hope to have you back on the show, Catalina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. It was a pleasure. Have a great day.
Yes, and you too. Have a great day, Catalina, and everybody listening. Have a healthy and peaceful day. Thank you so much.